Hi, my name's Sue. Have you got a busy head? Do you want to find a way to hear what your body has to say as well? If so, join me, grab yourself some paper and some pens, and then follow this video. It's all good. I've got you, and I can guide you through what to do. This is called the hand on heart exercise. So take one hand and place it over your heart, and take another hand and place it over your gut. And then just notice the comforting weight of your hands in those places. You might feel like you need to breathe out or sigh. And if you feel like you're able to close your eyes, then that would be cool. But if not, just find a place to focus on, somewhere in front of you. This exercise is not a meditation, but more of a guided connection to self. I know that I often hear my busy head, but don't really hear my body when it communicates with me. So let's bring our attention to the body. Notice any areas where there might be pressure or strain or pain, tight muscles or anything like that. Daily life can feel like being in a boat on a turbulent river, travelling along in the currents. Or it can feel like surfing a giant wave if you're in the middle of a storm. So when you close your eyes, you might experience a wrestling feeling, a turbulence. But as you breathe, those waves will calm and settle. When you notice that they do, see if you can bring your attention to the hand that is resting over your heart. Feel its pressure and feel its weight, and stay there a while. Our bodies are a bit like the sea, and just like the sea, there is a seabed. We have a foundation, and from that foundation, bubbles can travel up to the surface. They can move from deep within us up to us being able to notice them and see them and understand them. They're little bubbles of awareness. They're the way that our bodies speak to us. So, with your hand over your heart, notice anything that comes up for you. You might have an image appear. You might have a feeling appear. You might have a sensation. You might have a smell. Anything that comes up is okay. It's exactly what is meant to be there in the moment. And the more you practice this, the easier those bubbles are to hold on to. You can repeat this process by bringing your attention to the hand that is placed over your gut. And it's important to stay here for as long as you feel is right. So stay here until you feel you're ready to come back. It's often better to have a quiet space to do this activity so that you can really listen to yourself instead of listening to me. So I've popped this placeholder image here so that you can pause this video if you need to. When I come back, I tend to rub my hands together and place the warmth of my hands over my eyes, and then open my fingers gradually so that the light comes back in gently. Once I've done that, I grab my pens and straight away I start to capture the images that I noticed while I was hearing and listening to my body. You don't have to be able to draw to do this. You don't have to be good. It's more about just capturing those images while they're fresh. And it's really interesting because there are things often that come up that I have no idea what the meaning of them is. Sometimes it might be a squiggle or a shape or a colour. Sometimes it might feel completely random. It doesn't have to make sense right now. The important thing is just to record it in a way that feels right for you. I'm quite a visual person, so I always tend to draw like this in a sketchbook on paper with pens, but if you prefer to capture things in note form or voice recordings or as images on your phone, whatever works for you, there's no right or wrong way in this exercise at all, because this is about you connecting with your body and how your body works. I work very visually, but some people work in more of an auditory fashion, or some people need to move more, so you might find that you need to do some physical movement. Anything is okay, any of it. Pause if you need to while you take the time to capture your own experience. So I'm going to fast forward this bit so that we can skip to the end and talk about what happens next. When you're ready and you feel like you've captured everything you can, pop the date on your image so that you can go back to it if you want to later on. And then it's time to reflect. Reflection is a big part of this activity. It's how we learn from ourselves. So what I tend to do is stand back from my image and have a really good look at it. And while I'm doing so, I ask myself these questions. What do I notice and how do I feel? When I'm looking at my image, I'm looking for anything that makes sense, anything that doesn't. I'm looking to connect to how it feels as a whole. I'm looking for anything that stands out to me, and I'm looking for any patterns. I'm looking for the ways that my body tells me what I can't see, usually just with my head on its own. It's been amazing sometimes with this, how I can then see things that I didn't expect to. That can be really helpful. It can be useful to visualise this hand-on-heart activity as being a mirror, one that shows us ourselves. So, what do you notice and how do you feel about your image or your experience? What does it tell you about how you are right now and what you might then be able to do? Share your images or the stories of your experience in the comments. And if you'd like to hear about my image, I'll pop that in a separate video. Thank you for spending time with me today. Take care.